Greetings! In today's video, I'm going to answer a question that I got in the comments about how to maneuver in space. I will lead with the fact that I'm not particularly fond of quantum rudders for a whole bunch of reasons. However, that is not particularly important, for we don't need them. In space, if you use quantum rudders, your speed is limited. However, if you replace those with a little bit of logic, and I do really say a tiny bit, you can maintain your quote-unquote infinite acceleration, even though Trailmakers, being a finite video game within a finite computer, cannot actually arrive to infinite speeds. The 10,000 or so kilometers an hour that you can achieve is way more than enough, for me at least. And I don't really feel the need to go any faster. What I do need is to not use quantum rudders so that I can achieve those speeds. And therefore, this is the very simple, very concise system that I'm going to explain today. What it does is it allows you to move forward and deactivate the opposing thruster until you stop pressing buttons, and then it allows you to move backward and deactivate the opposing thruster until you stop pressing buttons. Very simply, how this system works is XOR gate, AND gate, speed sensor, thruster. This is the system. There's no cross-contamination between the two systems. They don't speak to each other at all, right? So your W gate is your XOR gate. It goes into the AND gate. The speed sensor goes into the AND gate and the thruster. The AND gate goes into the thruster. The AND gate has a negative output. The XOR gate has a positive output, which is perfectly normal, and the speed sensor has a positive output, and you probably want the speed turned down very low. The thruster is perfectly normal, it just has the opposite output as the XOR gate. So, very simple. I'll just go over it again on the other side, just to make sure. XOR gate, positive output, S key. Speed sensor, very low speed, positive output, AND gate, and Dragon Jet. AND gate, negative output, Dragon Jet. Dragon Jet, W key, normal, everything's regular. So, very simply, if I press W and the forward speed sensor is active, it means that the AND gate will deactivate the forward-facing thruster until I stop pressing the output, and then the AND gate will stop deactivating it, which means the speed sensor will activate it in order to stop my momentum. Same thing backwards. Very simple. So once you have that nailed down, very simple system, you can complicate things a little bit. This is the exact same thing, just repeated in all directions, right? So repeated for yaw, for roll and pitch, and then for forward and backward directions. Again, this will take a little bit to set up, but as long as you as long as you hook things up correctly and don't cross your wires, everything will just work. And the important part is none of the systems talk to each other. They all are contained within themselves. All of the same color things talk to all of the same color things. Now, what you will be wondering, of course, is what in the world is all of this? And that is very simple. This is essentially what I made is a sorter for your controls. I have pitch, W and S, yaw, E and Q, and roll, D and A. and all of the same color things hook into the OR gate of the same color, and the OR gate is the control gate. Basically, the W or S gates that were on the previous creation is now OR gates, because in the specific direction of rotation, I want to turn off all counteracting thrust. Therefore, for example, on the roll side, I will have my OR gate activating the AND gates on the rolling thrusters. On the pitch side, I will have it activating these in the front, which are the pitch thrusters. It is, again, very simple. On the yaw side, thrusters for yaw in the back and in the front. Now, whether you use helicopter engines to maneuver is up to you. The other easy solution, as you saw in the previous build, is I just hook the controls straight into the Dragon Jets for how to yaw, roll, and pitch. And that is it. Just takes a little bit of time to set up. As long as you get all of your controls correct in the small systems and repeat them over and over for every small system, everything will work. To demonstrate that, I have this prototype which I was working on yesterday, and it basically uses all of the same systems. Therefore, I will just simply show you that it is maneuverable in all of its directions, even in atmosphere, although I do have a mode for space, which is essentially I turn the engines, the large jets, horizontal, although that gives me horrendously little lift because this thing is very heavy, and it'll work. It will stabilize itself in all of the relevant directions, and it will attempt not to fall into the ocean. Now, it's a little bit difficult to control. There's this skilled curve which I still haven't overcome with building things with thrusters. However, I do prefer it to using quantum rotors, and if all else fails, just use hover pads. Essentially, that is my advice. Don't use quantum rotors. Maintain your quote-unquote infinite speed potential, and if you really need a lot of controllability and ease of use, mostly, use hover pads. They are indeed, I believe, the best solution to all of this. For now, there is but one more little nugget of information that I would like to bestow upon you, and it is this trick. If you take a distance sensor and you have it on a constant output and you use 0.03 as your output scale, and you hook it into Dragon Jets or propellers or anything with a spool up time, basically, it will improve your performance on them. Basically, they don't need any time to gain their maximum power output. They just immediately turn all the way on. Does it matter that much? Not really. Most of the times it doesn't make too much of a difference. Sometimes it actually hinders you. Sometimes it can be very useful. So there you go. That has been my short answer to the question of how I plan to maneuver in space and zero gravity and no atmosphere, so no air resistance. I hope you've found it helpful. I hope you've enjoyed. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the future.